We are Rob and Kathy, and these are our adventures in our Avon Applause 500 camper van, Serenity. Well, good morning for day 10, and we're down on the River Tagus. We're heading out on a yellow boat river cruise, so that's going to be good. It'll drop us off at the castle where we've already been a few times, and have lunch out there and continue back here. So it should be a really good day. The cruise took us across the River Tagus to the suburb of Casillas, which I doubt I'm saying properly. It featured some old abandoned docks, but it's also the access point for the sanctuary of Christ the King, which includes the statue of Cristo Rey, very similar to the one in Rio de Janeiro. We then passed under the 25th of April Bridge. It was originally called the Salazar Bridge, but the name was changed when the Emperor Salazar was deposed in 1977. Very similar to the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge. We then cruised past some very familiar landmarks. And we had a brief tour inside Belém Tower, which was quite interesting. Keep seeing this out there. It's out at sea, it's a long way off, and I don't know what it is. It is actually the fort of Sao Lourenço de Bugio, or the Tower of Bugio, and it's located on a sandbank at the mouth of the Tagus River. We visited the De Belém Cathedral. We're getting very good at that. Inside, it's a magnificent structure with very impressive paintings on the walls and the ceilings. It's famous for being the resting place of the great explorer Vasco da Gama. Hi, time for progress report. We made it back from our river cruise and refreshed, adjusted our makeup for an hour or so, and now we're off climbing the big hill back up to the castle where we were before a few days ago to catch some sunset views, which apparently are really good. So you'll see them when we get there and the sun sets. The crowd's gathering now as sunset approaches, finding their best vantage points. Well, the sun hasn't really cooperated and has gone behind a hazy cloud, so everyone's going to be a little bit disappointed. Well, we're back with a pizza. It's been a mammoth day. Alex is our step counter, and today was a record 24,377 steps, and we are exhausted. Gonna have the pizza and go to bed. See you tomorrow. Good morning and welcome to day 11. Bit of a different start today. Kathy and I are off for an early morning walk to go down and watch the sunrise and fly the drone down at the waterfront at the river. It's 6:45 and still completely dark, which is quite amazing. Daylight saving doesn't finish here until the end of October. So they get the long evenings, but they pay for it in the morning. So we'll catch you up when we get down there. Lisbon's coming to life for another day. There's a ferry coming in from across the other side of the Tagus. Coming across. There's Kathy. Back from our morning sojourn and going to have a coffee, then we're heading out for brunch. That's going to be it for today. We're having a quiet one, wander around some of the local streets and just take it easy. Yesterday was a killer and we just need a day off. So see you tomorrow. Good morning, viewer. It's Saturday morning and our street's being cleaned up after another big night of revelry. We're off to a flea market this morning on the number 28 tram. We'll see what it looks like. Well, after a long, crowded and fairly chaotic tram ride, we've arrived somewhere.
You want to start walking and see which way it moves?
Which way do you think it is?
Probably this way.
We had morning tea at a fairly authentic Portuguese cafe, a bit off the tourist track. And then we were there at the markets.
Cement on the back.
We left the markets and had a wander around some of the old narrow streets in Lisbon. We were close to public transport. Getting into the real back streets. Seeing life in the raw. Not the way I'd want to travel down the hills. And then all of a sudden we're down the river. Here we have a most impressive looking cruise ship. It's French, the Club Med 2, and would look very nice with sails up on the mast. Wrap up of day 12. We really enjoyed the flea market, had a good wander around there, and then we looked at some of the really old parts of town that has very narrow roads and paths, and we wandered about for a while. Back at the flat, we had the best intentions of going out to do something else, but we didn't. So that's it for today. Well, good morning. It's Sunday. I think it's day 13. We're doing something a little bit different today. We're heading out of Lisbon for the first time to a village called Sintra, which has a very interesting couple of castles to go and see. So we'll let you know more about that when we've been. Also today, the Lisbon Marathon is on, so there's lots of people in their running stuff getting ready to go down to the waterfront for the start. So we may see some of that as well. We took the overland train this time, and it was a real eye-opener. It was just a vista of flats after flats after flats, and you could really see how the vast amount of the population of Lisbon lives. Some were new, but many others weren't. We arrived in Sintra. It's a village very reminiscent of the New South Wales Blue Mountains or Genoan Caves area. But how lucky was this? This is the kind of car that Danny DeVito drove in Romancing the Stone. Another morning tea to get started. Then we were off on a highly spectacular bus ride through very winding roads, and we arrived at Pena Palace. Well, time for a quick sit rep. That was the most amazing bus trip I've ever done. Big bus, hairpin bends, but we're here. Pena Palace. Very mountainous Genoan Caves feel to it all. Pena Palace was built between 1840 and 1847 on top of the Sierra de Sintra range, on the ruins of an old 16th century monastery. It is considered the most beautiful palace in Portugal and one of the most fascinating in Europe. We were treated to some very good displays of what the palace would have looked like in its heyday, including dining rooms, bedrooms, entertaining areas, and the kitchen. Tried a quick drone flight, but the proximity to the air traffic control for Lisbon Airport and the thin air prevented getting any more altitude than we had here. We've come down from the castle now. It was certainly one of the most different places I have ever seen. well worth a look at, and hopefully some really good pictures. We're going to go down now to the Moorish castle, which is about 200 or 300 metres down the steep and winding road. Here we are at the Moorish castle. The Moors Castle, or Castello dos Muros, was founded at the beginning of the Arab domination of the south of the Iberian Peninsula in the 18th and 19th centuries. It extends its towers and the waistline of double walls over the dramatic cliffs that dominate this stunning panorama. We had lunch at a fairly exclusive Italian restaurant back in Sintra. Well, I hope you enjoyed Sintra Castle. It certainly was something very different, and the Moorish Castle also, it's probably my favourite, looking a little more like your traditional castle. The weather turned and it got quite cool. We were very pleased to have something to eat at the end and came back, and that was it for the day. A word on drone flying. Lisbon is not the best place ever for flying a drone. There are a number of factors. The main one is it's right on the flight path for Lisbon Airport, which isn't far away, and the planes are coming in quite low, and you get a lot of interference from that. Also, you've got a lot of electrical interference with a lot of tram lines about. You've got tall buildings, narrow streets, high castles, so it all results in some fairly average drone performance. In fact, I lost control of the drone a couple of times, so the drone footage isn't always what it should be, but we do the best we can.